Okay, awesome. This is part 3 of our study on witness this month. This month we've been talking about the discipline of witness and testimony. And so in the previous 2 episodes, we talked about verbally talking about our transformation. And this week we're talking about transformation in our lives and living that out. And so me and Tammy are just going to share a couple, or just share a story each, and then we're going to tell you our challenge, or the kind of the activity for uh, integrating it into your life on a daily basis, basically. So I'm going to start with my story. My story starts with red frogs, and uh, if you don't know what that is, you can search it up. But if you know Tammy and Greg for a while or been at Converge, you know about red frogs. Yeah. Either way, short story is red frogs goes to university campuses and helps out individuals at parties, whether they're intoxicated, high, or feel like they're in a harmful situation, and supports them in any way that we can. And yeah, you get to show Jesus' love and the gospel to individuals on a nightly basis when you're frogging with them, or volunteering. So my story starts like the first night that I frogged. There was an individual highly intoxicated, could barely stand up, that was with friends that were also high and intoxicated, and just fearful that they were going to get arrested because of just their choices that they made. And so they were trying to hide, but that was actually going to be more dangerous for them than than the actual outcomes of being found out. So me and a couple other volunteers went down and helped them out. And it was a pretty bad situation. We had to call EMS. And we just showed them love and patience and stuff. We did some basic first aid for the guy that was really intoxicated. And then we just sat with the friends and reassured them that that the actions that they chose to choose tonight did not define them, and did not define like just the outcomes that could have occurred, and they're not to blame, and they shouldn't be blaming themselves moving forward.
It's a pretty neat opportunity for you, hey?
Yeah. We don't know what happened to them or anything. We did know that like EMS said the guy was okay. But yeah, that's my story of sharing the gospel and transformation and love. Because there's a lot of people at those parties and they don't necessarily show like they care. People can pass out on the dance floor and nobody picks them up or anything. So
so we're just there for support, and I think that was really cool. Like it was like your first time out, you're like freshly trained and just ready to help, and you were able to help. And the motivation, like not everybody's motivation for doing red frogs is the same as yours. But for you, it was about demonstrating God's love because you've experienced God's love.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
So for me, we talked last week about sharing story, and so I shared my story with someone. But the deep impact for me was when someone shared their story with me. And I was listening to my friend share it, and she's a fairly new Christian, and she was telling me about how, yes, she tells her friends about God, and, she talks about what's going on in her life. But the biggest thing was what you're talking about, Keegan, like in demonstrating. And her friends are telling her, like, I'm seeing transformation in your life. Like, this is crazy to see how you're not just talking about God, but your life is actually being transformed, and we're able to see it right in front of our eyes. So I was so encouraged by that. And one of the prayers that my friend prays all the time is, God, would you show me truth? Would you just show me truth? And it's that truth that she's being shown that's bringing freedom into her life. And it's so cool to watch the transformation. I'm watching it, her friends are watching it, and they're feeding back to her. And she's encouraged by that as well.
That's awesome. So we're gonna give you our challenge for this week.
Hmm.
Tammy, would you like to tell them what the challenge is?
I would love to. So, this week, what we would love for you to do is to simply pray and ask God for eyes to see. God, would you show me what's going around, like what the needs are around me? Would you show me what you are doing about it, God? And would you show me how I can partner with you? Because we don't want to just talk about our faith, we want to live it out. Our lives are transformed and we want to demonstrate that to the world around us. So let me just repeat the challenge for you. In the prayer, we want to ask God for eyes to see the needs around us, to ask God what he's doing about it, and to ask him how we can partner with him in it.
Mhm. And if you're like, oh, I don't know if that was actually God, or I don't know about it, just help someone out. Like,
Mm.
that's still a good thing.
Yeah, yeah,
So
exactly.
there's no harm or foul in that.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that concludes this week's podcast. But next week, Wednesday, we'll be doing an interview with Bill Hogg. He used to work for C2C,
Yeah.
Church Planting Network,
Mhm.
and is very into sharing the gospel with people. And so we're excited to ask him a bunch of questions. And we hope you enjoy our interview next week.
You'll really enjoy him. He's
Yeah,
so fun. You're
yeah,
gonna love
I'm
it.
excited. I'm excited.
Right
So
on.
we'll see you next week.